One of the absolute wildest experiences in relationships is going from survival based dynamics to healthy dynamics. What would it mean for you to not have to feel fear in your relationships? What would it mean to you to not have to feel like you need to regress to keep a relationship going? That you feel like you don't have to appease or people please? Or even project. Maybe you are in a relationship with somebody, whether platonic or romantic, where you feel like you are consistently getting defensive. Maybe you feel attacked, and the projection is a defense against the attack. But what if you weren't in that kind of a relationship anymore? What if instead you were in a healthy relationship where you felt that you had the space to be yourself, you felt like you were accepted for yourself, and you actually didn't feel the need to seek external validation because you validated yourself. You knew your own sense of self worth. There's a drastic difference between dynamics in relationships of survival and actually healthy or just being safe in relationships. Dynamics of survival were learned in survival based childhoods where you basically had to be somebody other than yourself because who you were growing up to be was not accepted by your caretakers or your parents that lacked healthy boundaries and lacked the ability to give you the space to develop with a healthy ego state. This all goes back to Freudian psychology, psychoanalytic theory. You have the id, the ego, and the superego. Anybody that was raised in an environment of survival, they had a fucked up ego state as they developed. They learn to do a bunch of things that somebody in a healthy childhood, a child in a healthy childhood, wouldn't have had to. So imagine that you could actually heal and not further put yourself in dynamics of survival. The biggest thing I would argue is probably not fear. Fear is in dynamics of survival. You're afraid. That's why you're doing all of these things that you don't actually have to do in healthy relationships. You are abandoning yourself. You're sabotaging yourself. You're completely neglecting your own needs. You're not even listening to what it is that you need. Or if you do, you abandon it right away because you sense potential abandonment from the other person. So it has you being inauthentic with what it is that you actually need in your relationships. Have you been in a consistent state of fear in your relationships? Maybe because you're projecting the ideals of mommy or daddy onto your friends or your partner. Do you feel like you can't be yourself? Do you feel like you have to be somebody that they want you to be, which is actually in and of itself a boundary violation? Have you ever experienced that in a relationship? Have you ever been in a relationship with someone, whether friend or partner, where you feel like you've had to be somebody other than who you would normally be in order for this person to love you, in order for this person to accept you? Maybe they had standards that actually violated your boundaries. Maybe they didn't actually love you for you. Maybe they only loved you in the best way that they knew how to, and it wasn't healthy, and it had you in a consistent state of fear. A lot of people don't actually know what it's like to not be in fear in their relationships. If you are consistently in fear in your relationships because maybe you're worried that if you are your authentic self, somebody won't like you, or it just things will fall apart, and you feel like you actually have to be afraid because you feel like you have to actually walk on eggshells, you feel like you have to turn over this eggshell to figure out if there is something awful underneath. So you have to be hyper vigilant, you have to be on high alert, you have to make sure that your guard is not down, because if it is, you know that the world's going to fucking end. You know that all of annihilation will happen. You know that people might see the real you, and that's why you wear these masks that actually fuck up your capacity for healthy intimacy. If you feel fear regularly in your relationships, it's not a healthy dynamic. You shouldn't have to feel fear to be in a relationship with somebody. You shouldn't have to feel like you are abandoning yourself to be in a relationship with somebody. And see, the fascinating thing about this is that the transition from unhealthy to healthy relationships, or I could even say the transition from survival-based dynamics and relationships to healthy dynamics and relationships is actually very weird for a lot of people because they don't even know what to do with it. They're like, wait a second, this person loves me for who I am? No, that's not possible. How could that even be? Wait a second, this person accepts me? Wait, this person supports me? Wait, this person encourages me? This person's not tearing me down? This person's not telling me that I'm worthless? This doesn't make any sense. It doesn't compute. That journey from survival-based fear dynamics of this even potentially authoritarian dynamic, maybe it's something that you learned from a parent. Maybe you learned that you had to be ruled over. Maybe there was this authority figure in your life. And when I say authority, I don't just mean somebody that guided you. I mean that somebody that controlled you. Maybe you were raised by somebody that was very controlling. And because of that, you have attracted and been attracted to people that are very controlling. But it's not healthy. It's not healthy for a parent to control their child. It's healthy for a parent to have boundaries with their child and teach their child in a healthy way and develop a healthy ego state, but it's not healthy to be controlling. Nobody asked to be brought here. You may have learned a healthy life and a wonderful life, and that's fantastic, and you're grateful and happy to be there. That's fantastic, but this whole idea of controlling somebody, controlling a child's life, and then having that child learn dynamics of control and then be attracted to people that are controlling. Nobody gets to control you. And if they feel like they do, they're mistaken. That's just the reality of it. Any control is actually in and of itself a boundary violation. You are an autonomous individual that gets to choose for yourself. And if you were raised in an unhealthy way, you might not realize that. If you were raised by people that were authoritarian themed, that were controlling, that were telling you that this is what you're going to do, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, and you're going to like it. No, Nancy, I'm not. But the reality is that because of the way that, if it was you, the way that you were raised, it trained you to be attracted to those fucked up dynamics in relationships. It trained you to feel fear around the people that you're in relationships with. And quite honestly, that's fucked up. Who the hell wants that? Like, if you were to actually awaken from that and realize, wow, I've been in relationships with people that try to control me, that I allow to control me, that want to control me. Why would they want to control me? I am an autonomous individual. Why should I feel fear around people? I don't have to feel fear around people. I'm an autonomous individual that can make my own decisions for myself. You can eradicate fear not only from your life, but also from your relationships. And if the people that you're in relationships with make you feel afraid, that is an indicator that they are not people to be in relationships with because they're not healthy individuals. There's no need to feel fear in relationships at all. You have full human autonomy. You have every right to say no whenever you want to. You have every right to do what it is that you want to. You have every right to take your own path and just choose yourself. Nobody else gets to determine you. And a lot of other people probably have for the longest time, because the likelihood that if you're watching this video, you've been in unhealthy relationships is very high. You don't have to feel fear in your relationships. It's not healthy. No matter what people have said, no matter if they've said, oh, this is just the way that relationships are. I've heard that said before. No, that's the way that unhealthy relationships are. Let's distinguish it. Let's differentiate it. Like I was saying before, there's a difference between survival-based dynamics in relationships where you learn to abandon yourself, you learn to wear masks so that you can be liked, so you can be loved. All of these defense mechanisms that you learn in survival, there's a difference between that and healthy relationships, where you're actually given the space to be yourself because they respect boundaries, because they have them themselves. You don't have to feel fear in relationships. You don't have to question if somebody's going to be there. Because if somebody's healthy, they have healthy boundaries, and they communicate that they're going to be there, and their word is their word, then they're going to be there, and you don't have to fear it, and you don't have to live in this chronic, regular state of fear where you're just constantly wondering and you're banking on something that's actually unpredictable, something that's actually unstable, something that's actually fucked up. It's not healthy. Healthy relationships are consistent. Healthy relationships are peaceful. Healthy relationships are respectful. Healthy relationships don't require you to abandon yourself for others. Healthy relationships have healthy boundaries. Healthy relationships have individuals that are individuated. Healthy relationships have individuals that are differentiated. They allow you to be yourself. It's not even a matter of allowing you to be yourself. They just don't violate boundaries. They don't violate healthy boundaries. That's the difference there. You don't have to feel fear in your relationships. And if you have been, if you do regularly, comment down below and really consider reflecting on what the relationship is, and understand that you can do better for yourself. You deserve better.